A very good morning and good afternoon, good evening, and namaste to everyone. Dr. Zairi is actually known to break all time barriers and all time zones while engaging on such important thematic discussions. And this is what's happening. Like since the past 2, 3 years, I am engaging with her, and each time she's breaking the barriers. Today, again, we are speaking on a topic which is about breaking barriers. But at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Zaidi and, of course, the Youth for Human Rights for inviting me to this prestigious panel and to express my views on this International Women's Day. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege to be here and see, like what we see here is an all woman panel. It's actually a pleasure to see an all woman panel these days. This in itself is an exemplary. It's in itself is exemplary of women's drive and spirit. I would also like to thank our enterprising and young moderator Ariva. She's like doing a very good job. Distinguished friends, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I would actually like to start with a brief history of how this day came into being. And it's well known that Women's Day is being celebrated for over a century now. And the first one was celebrated in the year 1911. So it's been more than 100 years that we are celebrating this day. And the day commemorates women who, despite various challenges posed by the society, have proved their mettle in every sphere and every sphere across the world. And this day marks a call to a gender equal world, free of bias, stereotypes, discrimination, and a world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive, while also the differences are valued and celebrated. So it's sort of a equilibrium between the diversity and the equitability that we like to maintain. The fight for equality has been a long one. Unfortunately, the battle is yet not won. And even in this 24 challenges, we celebrate International Women's Day every year. And on 8th of March every year as International Women's Day, and then we celebrate the at the national level on various days. And we celebrate it to celebrate women and to reaffirm our commitment to provide an enabling environment for them and to accelerate gender parity. However, in true spirit, I believe that each and every day should be observed as Women's Day, and we should be celebrating the achievements of women every day. Today, girls are breaking the glass ceilings, and they are making their countries proud in every sphere. They are making huge strides as leaders, innovators, job givers, money earners. In fact, women, we are breaking new grounds in every industry and closing, perhaps slowly, the infamous wage gap. But still, like even if we are trying to close that wage gap, the paradox remains as women and girls continue to fear, they fear worse across many headlines. And perhaps you would also agree that calamities like COVID-19 pandemic had further exacerbated the challenge for all of us. COVID-19 is not the first, and it's certainly not the last pandemic that is going to savagely hit the world. And such sort of pandemics evoke nationwide focused response. And during this period, other services and other programs, including gender, unfortunately, they get neglected. I do understand that the pandemic has a devastating social economic consequence, but it has all the more devastating social and economic consequence for women and girls. Now that we are 2 years into COVID-19, that suggests that women's economic and productive lives have been affected disproportionately and differently from men. Across the globe, women are earning less, they are saving less, they are holding less secure jobs, and they are more likely to be employed in the informal sector. They have less access to social protections and are the majority of single parent households. And this proportion has further augmented due to COVID-19, where they are all the more single parent households. Their capacity to absorb economic shocks is also less than that of men. And as COVID is basically increasing and markets are falling and businesses are closing, millions of women have disappeared, and their positions in the businesses have been eliminated. We are already seeing that the increasing pressures on the economy, women are losing paid employment, while their unpaid care work is increasing exponentially as a result of school closures and the increased needs of older people. With the mobility restrictions now getting relaxed, like now that we are moving on and the new normal is being part of our life, and the mobility restrictions getting realized, the governments are getting more and more responsive towards gender needs. We certainly hope putting women and girls at the center of economies will fundamentally drive better and more sustainable development outcomes for all of us, support a more rapid recovery, and place us back on the footing to achieve the sustainable development goals. If you were to talk about India, India is, I believe, is a 1.3 billion strong engine of innovation. Our population of 1.3 billion is actually a strong drive, a strong engine of innovation for the world. The defining models and solutions of the coming decade, which may be adopted globally, are emerging in India. Financial inclusion is central if we are to meet the goals, targets, and indicators of the ambitious Sustainable Development Goals. Making sure women have access to the formal financial system can give people more economic security, help reduce inequality and poverty, and also promote jobs, better health, and education. The current crisis is actually refocusing the decision making on the sustainability of investment opportunities and on building more resilient portfolios to guard against future crises. And what can be a better investment than to invest in the women of the country, in supporting and appreciating their true potential and encouraging them towards financial inclusion and micro enterprise development. This, I think, can lead to sustainable growth as well. And as the crisis is forcing our people to traverse back to their hometowns, there's also an increasing need to ensure an alternate source of living for the migrants so that they may be self reliant and, as such, when such a pandemic occurs again, for themselves. The women in our society have huge growth potential, but the potential needs a direction. The rural community is striving for financial inclusion. There's enough knowledge and techniques that is already available in our country and across the world, but it needs to percolate down the system to reach the world. The field already begins on an unequal terrain. Like while we are talking about leveling the playing field, the field is actually on an unequal terrain for girls and women who spend much of their life catching up to reach the elusive level playing field. The challenges faced by women leads to a serious lack of representation of women, especially at the senior leadership level positions. There are many complex factors that come in the path of women's work life, denying her opportunities as well as posing challenges that deny her the right to have an equitable journey. According to another report from the World Bank, India is at the forefront of strides in financial inclusion, and in no small part because of the nimble adoption of innovative technology that can help bring those previously excluded into the financial ecosystem. 36% of our accounts owners in India are women, and they are already using their accounts to make or receive digital payments. Digital payment apps like Bheem, facilitated by the JAM Trinity, the Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobility Trinity, and other employment credit schemes like Mudra, they are key to achieving the 2030 agenda. The vital link between gender, social equity, and climate change, and recognize that without gender equality today, a sustainable future and equal future remains out of reach. Today, as a strong women panel, let's take a strong commitment to work on challenges and issues impacting women, impacting all of us. The wage gap, access to opportunities, unpaid work, having our male counterparts contribute progress. Their strong participation gives the confidence to expand and work for the future. Let's all make a concerted commitment towards the cause of gender equality and delivering as one, coherently, to ensure that we leave a better planet for our future generations. On this special day, let's remind ourselves that the spirit of Women's Day should not remain merely confined to one particular day. On the contrary, we have to strive throughout the year to create awareness for ensuring equal rights and equal opportunity for them in the society and celebrate women with all spirits. Thank you everyone, and wishing you all a very happy International Women's Day in true spirit and realization. Thank you.